How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another MGG Live. Whether you are watching from the Retro Bliss Gaming channel or my channel, Mike's Gaming Gala, you are welcome. I can see the chat for both channels here. This should be a fun one. It was suggested to me that I should do like a Q&A and ask me anything kind of thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to also do some channel news live. Today was actually an incredibly frustrating day for me. Um, I have the week off, and it was my plan to get lots and lots and lots of gameplay footage recorded, especially the pain in the butt ones that I have to hook up, like my capture card and all this. So my brothers came over on Saturday. We beat Panzer 3. We beat House in the Cemetery, and we beat 5 Clans of Tracebro. And I got game footage for all 3 of those, so that's good. They're all 3 NES games. Last night, I was up till about 6 a.m. I beat Princess Liddy. I played some other Intellivision games, and none of the footage is usable. Unfortunately, no matter what system I use, and I had this problem with my Jaguar today too when I was trying to capture Wings of Death, I get this really bad static in the audio. And I've always had some trouble capturing audio properly. And how I do it is I actually set my headphone jack to line in, and I've got this thing that will take the audio directly from the system, and I can capture the visuals with HDMI, and I can capture the audio with the headphone jack. But for whatever reason, it was working fine on Saturday, and now it's not. And I wasted all day today and all night last night, all night until about 6 a.m., not being able to do that. So tonight, after the podcast, I am capturing some Vectrex footage. I just need my camera for that, so that's fine. And then I will capture stuff that I have ROMs for. So for the foreseeable future, I'm trying to get it fixed. I don't know what it is, but the foreseeable future, if there isn't a ROM available, I'm probably not going to be reviewing it, which is a pain in the ass because I have Poseidon's Gate, I have Casey's Gold, I have Triple Action 2, I have Princess Liddy, and all these games I can't capture anything for right now. So I am very, very, very frustrated. Add to this, yesterday, we've had severe, severe winds here. Yesterday, the wind took the glass door off my porch and ripped it off. And thankfully, it didn't shatter, but it fell on the patio stones in front of it. Very frustrating. I'm very frustrated. But we're going to try to have some fun today. And so any questions that you have, I will answer any questions. They can be about the show. They can be about me. I know we're simulcasting on the Retro Bliss Gaming channel. They can be about his stuff. Obviously, I know a little bit, but I'm not Retro Bliss. So you'll probably get a joke answer if you ask a question about Bliss. But I'm here to answer anything. And also, we can talk about the channel too. So let's say hello to some people in the chat. We have DeAndre77. We have Off Grid Arcade. I know I've got a lot of Intellivision fans in my community. If you want to see like first impressions of a lot of these Intellivision games, he's been really getting into a sprint. Which is awesome. That's another thing that frustrates me because I can't capture anything from external consoles right now. I can't do my sprint video. I was going to do like the full on, and I still will at some point, but man, I am so upset. Intellivision Gamer is here. Casey. We have got, okay, I'm going to start questions because we'll come back to the questions. We have Torque. How are you doing, Torque? Absolutely. We need Mr. Postile in the chat. He will have funny questions about Beat 'em and Eat 'em, I am sure. It's not been a good couple days, but I'm doing okay. We're all healthy. I know Casey's been sick. Thankfully, nobody here has been sick. Salvatore, how are you? Yes, I'm a younger, more handsome Retro Bliss. We've got Obsidian Contraption in the chat. We have Pierre Guro. Yeah, I am livid. And here's the thing, like when I get frustrated and I'm just like I'm exasperated. I'm so frustrated. I've wasted a day and a half on this BS. I get angry. And I have been told by many people that when I am angry, I am scary. And that is, when I was a younger man, that was very justified. I could be very physically violent when I was younger. Not anymore, but I still have, I guess, that Viking blood that intimidates people when I'm angry. So I'm trying to be in a jolly mood today because that's what I try to be on the channel, right? You get to see happy Mike. But Mike is not always happy. He's not always friendly. Sometimes he can be a real stick in the mud. So yeah, you wouldn't like me. I'm like the Hulk. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I'm gonna start that. Yeah, I know you're just playing. Hey, we've got the artist formerly known as Kuya, and hey, Mr. Postal is here. Andy Author says my Jaguar is like that. My CD player worked one day, then 4 days later it was dead for absolutely no reason at all. So it has the problem I'm having has nothing to do with the actual Jaguar. It works like a champ. So does my Intellivision, but it's something to do with either my cable or one of my 3 capture cards that none of them will work, or some setting. It's frustrating. Hey, we got Game Freak from Game On Forever. He's got a great channel if you're not familiar with him. We've got Trucker Todd LLC. Hello, everyone. I'm new here, but a big fan of 5200 and a new VCS call. Also have a Game Station Go with a lot of ROMs on it. That is a great starter package, my friend. There's tons and tons of stuff that you can play between those systems. I need another one of them. I've got a lot of V61 homebrews for the 5200. And I had my 5200 here. I got so upset, I actually tidied my room a bit. So I've got, I don't have piles of crap on either side of me right now. But the 5200 was one of them. And I wanted to capture some 5200 footage because this year it is my goal to do some more 5200 reviews. I review a lot of homebrews for pretty much every other system, but 5200 has thus far been absent from my channel, and I'd like to do that. So welcome. Let's just see. Well, your son takes priority. Your kids always take priority. That's Obsidian saying hi to folks. Let's see here. Andy says he gets angry when he's frustrated, but he has to be really frustrated to get angry. Yeah, I'm a lot better than I used to be. Is Mike happy right now? Mike is not happy right now, but I do like doing this. I like chatting with you guys. So I'm happier than I was, say, an hour ago. And Joel7800 is joining the fray as well. By all means, ask questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with the questions that are just in the chat here. I'm trying something new. It's a setting on YouTube where I can set a Q&A. So I noticed that some questions are popping up there. You don't have to use them if you just pop questions in the chat. That's good. So starts off with, how about this one? Who is your favorite person on the new Sunday night show hanging out that isn't named Poe? Well, I would have to say he's only been on one episode, but Mike the Gaming Road Warrior, pretty cool dude. Pretty cool dude. I was quite a fan of him. I don't know who that other guy. It's hanging out with Poe and someone. I'm not sure. You might know. You'll have to remind me. Of course, it's hanging out with Poe and Off Grid. Um, and I love them both. You'll see me watching their videos. So absolutely check them out. Trucker says, I wish I could get more 5200 ROMs, but I still hate the controllers not self-centering. That the controllers definitely take some getting used to. There are some games on the 5200 that really work with that controller. I am generally not a fan of it, but there are other ways to get around it too. I have something it's called like the 5200 Redemption, and it allows you to use a regular Atari 2600 or Sega Genesis controller and have the keypad from a 5200 controller. And a lot of the games work with that. So maybe look into that if you really like getting into your 5200. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little angry Viking blood, unless I walk into a church and they're so scared they have to give me all their gold. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Yes. And we've got Jedi Agnostics 5510. How are you doing, sir? There you go. And then Salvatore asks, bidet, yay or nay? I'm a nay. That might make me sound less sanitary than you'd like. I really don't like that jet of water squirting. Like, my parents went to Japan one year, and they were so astonished with how awesome the Japanese were with everything that they got toilets and put them on everything in their house, every toilet in their house. And I hated those things. I hate those things. Um, it's just, you've got this little remote or buttons on the thing, but I grew up in a family of 8, 7 of which were men or boys. And you can't always rely on them to be true with their aim. So you're pressing a button. There's like yellow crusties on it, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the bidet. Maybe they remind me of the robo toilets, and it was fun. It's funny. My brother was the only one that got it, but when the first time they put them in, I had to go to the bathroom, and when I was in the bathroom, I was whistling the RoboCop theme, and they they get he got a good laugh out of that. That's it. You're right. Hanging out with Poe and Aardvark on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Jeremiah Thomas is correct. The 5200 controllers do self-center. They just do so very poorly, which is the same really as not self-centering. Having some dinner while I watch, and Casey got excited because I said remote. Let's not get into that, Casey. Let's not get into that. Okay, so let's look at Off Grid. Off Grid, be good. Be good. Okay, so the first question here that comes from Jeremiah Thomas says, when are we getting the Atari 8-Bit Game podcast? That would have probably been this week or maybe even last week. But Phil, still having his migraine issues, decided to not do the Retro Bliss Rewind podcast for the winter break. I would imagine that that is one that a lot of people want. And because when we did our Atari 8-bit kind of overview, we didn't really have time to get into the games. So I think we're going to be doing an Atari 8-bit game top 5, probably at some time in January. That will depend on when Retro Bliss thinks he can be on, but I am eager to do it, and you are not the only person asking for that one. Casey started it, but show some maturity, and you don't have to join in. Casey, stop laughing. Uh, Buggy Multiplex says, "Are we like butt pirates or regular pirates?" I am not a butt pirate. Casey might be. He'll have to answer himself in the chat. But I'm a regular pirate. So let's make this homebrew related. I have talked about this before. When it comes to ports, when it comes to sequels to existing games and stuff like that, uh, a lot of homebrews are a lot of homebrew activity is pirate activity. Um, and that is, that's something that we accept. But pirates have a code. There's some things you just should not do. Straight up, just taking an existing game and putting it onto a cartridge. Pirates have a code. You don't do that crap. Um, there's a lot of things. It's like, and it does kind of drive me nuts. Like if it's a Nintendo IP, Nintendo is notoriously litigious. If it is a Disney IP, like Lucasfilm or Marvel, or heaven forbid you use any of their other characters, just don't do it. Like, why would you do it? Why would you risk bringing that kind of negative litigious attention to your community? If you want to make a port, if you want to make another Pitfall game, go nuts. Nobody really cares. Nobody in the broader world cares about the Pitfall IP. But hot damn, stay away from Mario. Stay away from Star Wars. Stay away from Mickey Mouse. Um, well, Mickey Mouse is public domain now, but only like the early version of him. Just stay away from it. Why would you want that kind of negative attention? Jeremiah says, "Get Gen X grown up." He did ask because we invited him to be on that episode and he couldn't make it. He was getting ready for PRGE. But he did say that if he loved the 8-bit and he would love an invite. So when we do decide when we want to do that, we'll see if we can get John from Gen X grown up on it. Maturity. That's what she said. Migraines definitely suck. So, little update just from what I know about Bliss. Everything he's done so far hasn't really been helpful. But he does think, I mean, it's no secret Phil has a lazy eye, and that can cause eye strain. And now he's kind of thinking maybe he should see an optometrist, somebody to maybe find out if eye strain is contributing to the migraines. So, at least he has a path to go down to still try to find out. One of the things, like even worse than being in bad shape, is not knowing why you're in bad shape. So hopefully, and also, getting glasses that cut out the blue light and anything to kind of help not trigger migraines would be good. Mr. Postile says, Bliss, he's fine. He just decided to be a regular on a show and ditch you and Brian. I hope not. I like talking with Bliss. Bliss is a really great guy, and we've been doing our podcast now for a little over 2 years, and it's always better when he's on. It's always better when he's on. But if he wanted to be a regular on the hanging out with Poe and Off Grid, that'd be fine too. And Andy, I totally agree. Just stay away from Disney and Nintendo. And that's not to say, like, you can make a Mario style game, just make your own characters. You can make a Donkey Kong style game, just make your own characters. Obsidian Contraption asks, do you think any Intellivision homebrewers will release physical overlays with digital downloads? Yes. So I know for a fact that both Intellivision Revolution and Electronite, at least, are looking at making like USB packages. So they'd have a USB with the digital Sprint files on it, and it would come with physical overlays, a manual, and a little box. So it's like physical without a cartridge. It is completely feasible that if somebody is willing to do that, that they would be totally fine with selling you overlays and a manual, and you digitally download the game because it's really no different. And I don't know what the costs on any of that would be. I imagine Intellivision Collector is also looking at doing stuff like that. But there's certainly going to be a market for like just the overlays, if nothing else. And they're cheap, fairly cheap to make and cheap to mail. So I don't see any of those guys having a problem with that if they're already going to be doing digital. Um, what else? Yeah. So, and I imagine Television Collector is going to be doing the same thing. One great thing, I purchased some games from Intellivision Collector recently, and they all came with a folder with all the Sprint files, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of potential there. I think the Sprint is really opening people's eyes in the Intellivision community, at least the publisher side, and certainly from the consumer side as well, that this is just an accessibility thing more than anything else. If you can buy 3-4 ROM digital packages for the cost of one physical homebrew, these guys are going to sell so many more games. There's still people like me and like Casey who are going to want to have the physical for everything. Um, but I mean, just look at the stupid problems I've been having. Um, you're going to see it. You're probably going to see a review for Montezuma's Revenge and Road Fighter and a bunch of Intellivision Collector and Electronite stuff because I can get the ROMs for those and I can capture it and get good game footage before you see like a Princess Liddy, which I've already shot part of the intro for because I had to dress up like a frickin' Michelle, and I wasn't going to do that multiple times. So, like, I get it. I wish it had a cartridge slot, and I have zero doubt. I have it on pretty good authority that within a year, we're probably going to get like an Intellivision Plus with a cartridge slot. But if you desperately need a cartridge slot, this isn't the system for you. I think this makes it far more accessible to a wide range. And they've sold out of their initial batch. I know that they probably made a lot less than they did like the 2600 plus and stuff like that. It's a smaller market. But the fact that they are exceeding their expectations of what they could sell is a really, really good sign. And I hope it's not a good sign just in that, obviously Intellivision is going to sell well. I think it's a good sign as, this kind of way of doing things sells well because it makes it just so much more accessible to so many more people. I totally agree, M Jedi. Um, I wish they had a cartridge port, and I'm positive that we're going to get one, especially with how well the Sprint has done. But I really appreciate the fact that we have something that is going to be more accessible to more people and allows people to play these games the way they want to play them. I don't ever want to see physical games go away. I love my cartridges, but I am happy that there are also other options because that's part of video game preservation. So Cannabis Kid says, yes, Bliss is a great show. He is a great show when he's around. Unfortunately, he's had some rough times. That's why we're simulcasting. Andy says, so the Botox didn't help. Dang, now I can't call myself a doctor. Yeah, apparently not. Although Retro Bliss may be looking a little less retro now because of those injections, but MJ Diagnostics says, "Oh hey, I figured out something cool. I just got a Game Station Go, and some of the Champ Games ROMs will work on them. Not all of them though. I'll do a video on it to show everybody." That's really cool. Yeah, one of the things, like, we're gonna see some Champ Games on the channel soon because I can get the ROMs from those ones. That's great. I passed on the Game Station Go. I'm kind of wishing I didn't. It's when I played it a bit at PRG, it's a nice system. It's a lot nicer than I thought it would be. And yes, we all love Retro Bliss. So our next question is from Casey the Intellivision Gamer. How long does it take you to get ready for Michelle clips? Okay, so I have to shave. I have to, and then my wife helps me with makeup. I put blush on, I put eyeshadow, I put lipstick. This is so disturbing. And then I put the wig on. It doesn't take that long, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and then another 20 minutes, half an hour to just live with myself enough to turn the camera on. I will never understand ever your attraction to Michelle. I don't judge, but you should know that Michelle is a top. Michelle is most definitely a top. Super Mega Graphics 64 is here. Who would win in a fight? Michelle the Mermaid or Chuck's Praying Mantis? Something a lot of people don't know about me. I used to box. I used to box a lot. I boxed in high school. I boxed in the military. I boxed in college. I boxed in provincial tournaments. I was not phenomenal. Like, I never knocked anybody out, but I won my fair share of fights. And Michelle carries all my DNA. I think Michelle could probably take Praying Mantis. I don't know that for sure, but I think Michelle could take Praying Mantis. The Game Station Go is cool, but Obsidian has too much stuff. There is that. There is most definitely that. We got a question from Emilio JL2006. What is your cartoon when you were little? So I presume that means, like, what were the cartoon, or what was the cartoon or cartoons that I really liked when I was young? I was big into He-Man. I remember I had a friend that whenever I'd go to his house, we'd watch He-Man, and that was awesome. But then he would insist that we sit down and watch She-Ra afterwards, and that was all gross and because it was a girl show and all, whatnot. I was born in '81, so but I watched a lot of stuff like in syndication. I loved the Flintstones. I really liked the Jetsons. I never liked the Spider-Man cartoon. Even back then, I was like, and I was never a big Scooby-Doo fan. The Hercules cartoon I really liked. What else? And then, like, I watched, like, these aren't cartoons, but I watched like Mr. Ed and the Addams Family and the Munsters. I loved all those. It was a lot of stuff in syndication, but I would say, like, the big one for me was probably He-Man. When it came to a little later in the 80s, I watched a lot of G.I. Joe. I was never a huge Transformers fan. Yeah, so it is what it is. Okay, so Offgrid says, I downloaded the demo for Spider Game Poe, played, but my Raspberry Pi wouldn't play it. Game launched, but the controller did nothing. That's a shame. I don't know why that would be. but that's why Champ Games has the demo ROMs. So you can test it to make sure that it works on whatever your setup is. Oh boy. Emilio, so Andy Author says this ask a question thing isn't working. I don't know what you mean by that. I saw your question pop up there. It was recommended to me that I do this, and we're just gonna have a fun time talking. If you don't like it, you don't have to hang out. Who is better, Gordon Ramsay or Donald Trump? Oh boy. How do I answer this without getting political? Gordon Ramsay. I have seen enough content of both of these men to realize that Gordon Ramsay being a complete dick is mostly a show, and Donald Trump, it really isn't. That's just kind of who he is. And that's going to be that. Poe says that Bart needs the new pie. It's called the hair pie. Benji's retrospective. Benji from Australia is in the chat. I am doing okay today. It's been a rough couple days, but I'm doing okay. I talked about it a little earlier in the stream. Welcome. I have no idea what time it is over down under, but if you guys haven't checked out Benji's retrospective, he's got a completely awesome channel. He reviews retro video games, and he's just got a really cool laid back way of doing it. And even on some of them, like he's done like little intro kind of things like I do, which is awesome. I was in the army, sir. Canadian Army. She-Ra, what boy enjoyed She-Ra? Well, my friend John, I think his last name was Piper. John Piper. I was like 6 or 7, and we'd go and watch He-Man, and then he'd want to watch She-Ra. So it is what it is. As a kid, yeah, I wasn't a fan for sure. So Thundercats, I definitely watched. Transformers, I wasn't a huge fan of, but G.I. Joe, I was a big fan of. Are you waiting for the Masters of the Universe trailer? Is there a new Masters of the Universe coming out? I am one of those people who unironically love the original Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren. Like, it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I love it. It's very nostalgic for me. I liked it back then. I still like it now. I showed it to my kids, and they liked it enough. It's considering, and when you look back on it, all the troubles that they had, like they weren't paying people. It just went completely off the rails, and they decided, we're just gonna finish it. We're gonna make this movie, and I'm glad they did. I really like that movie. I also like Suburban Commando, unironically. If you guys ever watch the Drunky Cheese stream, he's got the "I was frozen today" kind of set up. They're fun movies. Gummy bears. Okay, I really did like gummy bears, and like I was a little older when Gummy Bears was on. Same with DuckTales. DuckTales was an awesome show. But Gummy Bears, the original Gummy Bears, was awesome. Mike is a GoBots fanatic. Confirmed. Nope, not even that. Not even that. Cyrus says that the bad guy Hordak was cool on She-Ra. Also, her unicorn Pegasus was fabulous. I'm positive that she was fabulous. I don't remember a lot. Yeah, yeah, and I'm not shy when it comes to my political beliefs. I just don't believe that my gaming channel is the place for them. If anybody wants to hit me up on Discord and talk politics, I will talk politics all day with you. I covered politics very closely for about 15 years of my career. I worked in news, and I lived and breathed politics, both Canadian and American and international. And I'm also a student of history, and I have a lot of opinions on what the effects of today, the decisions of today will affect 20 years in the future, and the decisions 20 years in the past, how they affect today. So there's a lot of that. And Gordon Ramsay, the chef, yes, is what they were referring to. Andy Author asks, have you played Nightmare Busters yet? Make sure you use a turbo controller, or I can give you a cheat code to put auto fire in the options menu. I have not had a chance to play that yet. I have it written down on my list. I do want to play it, but by all means, hit me up on Discord and send me that cheat code for auto fire. Because I might have turbo options in my emulator, but if a turbo controller is the way to play, I'd be happy to get that cheat code for you. Intellivision Gamer says, hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. That would be great. And Mr. Postile hit it 4 times already, which means he did not like the video. Benji's retrospective, Mysterious Cities of Gold. Does anyone remember that one? I do not. It is possible that it wasn't a popular one here in North America, or maybe it was a little after my time. I stopped watching cartoons probably like 91, 92. So my knowledge of cartoons that come after that. Oh, actually, okay, another cartoon that I did actually quite like, it was from the 80s. And I remember it because one of Benji's retrospective games was like on McDonald's toys. Muppet Babies. I did like Muppet Babies. And Jedi Agnostics was an Air Force brat. Ever heard of LaHaye's Air Force Base? It rings a bell. But if you're an Air Force guy, Mr. Postile is also an Air Force guy. Off-Grid's a Navy guy. We don't talk to him, but... And Frank Langella is the best Skeletor. He's awesome. He is truly awesome. And Off-Grid, despite the fact that he's a Navy guy, says he was there for a couple months in 91. Yeah, the old Masters of the Universe movie. It's a good time. Not every movie has to be Lawrence of Arabia. I went to film school. I can tell you what all, all these little details about masterpieces of film. But there is such a big place of just, you know what, you enjoy your popcorn and enjoy what's going on, and you can turn your brain off for a bit. That's what I've actually, a lot of people crap on the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. I like them because if I turn my brain off, they're still enjoyable. The prequels, oh my God. Like you can't, okay, turn your brain off and enjoy the spectacle, but it's not even that. All the plot progression is 2 guys walking down a hall talking. Attack of the Clones, to date, is the only Star Wars film that both of my kids fell asleep during. Attack of the Clones, the worst Star Wars movie of all time. My goodness, it's that bad. I prefer the Ewok movies. Jeremiah Thomas clarifies, the new Masters of the Universe movie is supposed to come out June 5th, 2026. How a movie can be 6 months from opening and not have a trailer yet is beyond me. That is suspicious. It is not completely without precedent, but it is suspicious. So either it's garbage or it's going to get delayed, would be my guess. I was in the Navy, but we sent detachment there. Yep. And every time they try to make a He-Man movie, it never gets off the ground. Yeah, and like I said, that Masters of the Music, the Masters of the Universe movie almost didn't get made. So GoBots forgot about that show. Uh, Andy Author has a bachelor's degree in history. Oh, good for you, sir. When I was in university, I took a lot of history courses, but I do not have a degree in history. But I have followed it very like, and it's and the stuff that I find the most fascinating is the cause and effect of international relations, particularly within the 20th century, but also in the 19th and 18th centuries as well. How many Atari games do I have in total? Okay. Do you mean Atari 2600 or do you mean like Atari platforms? If we're talking about my collection, I have about 6,000 games across about 70 systems. I could not give you exact numbers on that. Atari 2600, I have about 500 physical games. That includes homebrew. I do not have a complete 2600 collection. It is almost impossible to get a complete 2600 collection. You got games like uh, Red Sea Crossing or Air Raid. Like I have a reproduction of the Air Raid cartridge. I did a video on that, but I don't have Red Sea Crossing. I will never have Red Sea Crossing. I could never justify what it costs to get Red Sea Crossing. Um, there are a lot of 2600 games I'm missing. Lynx, I've got an almost complete set. Jaguar, I've got about 2/3 of the set. Problem with Lynx and Jaguar is only collect them complete in box. 5200, I'm about 10 games short of a complete set. 7800, I'm about the same, about, well, maybe 10 or 15 games short of a complete set. Yeah, so I couldn't give you exact numbers of what I've got, but I've got a lot. I've got a lot. Um, if the question thing doesn't work, if you just put your questions in the chat, I can see them. So, uh Cyrus, Super Mega Graphic 64 asks, Mary, screw, or Mary, screw, kill, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Well, the kill, so I'm going with ice cream flavors, which I'm assuming this is. The kill is easy. Strawberry is the kill. Artificial strawberry flavored stuff, I'm not a big fan of. I loved it when I was a kid. Like you get the Neapolitan and you just eat the strawberry and the chocolate. I would marry chocolate because chocolate ice cream I can have every day. Well, no, I would F chocolate and probably marry vanilla because you can put any toppings on vanilla ice cream. So there you go. Marry vanilla, F chocolate, kill strawberry. Uh, Am I going to watch the fireworks for New Year's? Uh, yes and no. I don't like to actually go somewhere on New Year's because it's a big crowd and then I'm not home till like 4 in the morning because like I'm stuck in traffic and it's cold and all that. But I live in a place that I can go outside and I will see plenty of fireworks. I won't go to an actual like fireworks show or kind of event, but I will see some fireworks from the street in front of my house. Um I'll still talk about the airplane Air Force Base there. That's pretty cool. Maybe they're recasting Leto. Is that in reference to the new Masters of the Universe movie? I might be out of the loop on what that's asking about. The only movies I ever fell asleep during are The Talented Mr. Ripley and Godzilla -1. Okay, I really like A Space Odyssey 2001 or 2001 A Space Odyssey. It took my problem was like when I was a teenager, I tried to watch that movie and it would always be like I start watching it at like 11 or midnight and it took me 4 times to get through it. I fell asleep like 3 times. I was so proud of myself when I finally sat through the whole thing. I did not see The Talented Mr. Ripley, but I did like Godzilla Minus One. I found that I really liked that movie, so it didn't make me fall asleep. Um, what's my favorite game series? That is a really tough question. Like, I'm always down for a Super Mario game. I love my Mario platformers, but I don't think I'd call that my favorite series. I'm always down for a good Zelda game. I'm not sure I'd call that my favorite series. I would probably have to go, even though it's had its ups and downs, maybe Metal Gear. Oh, Metal Gear's up there. Like starting with Metal Gear Solid. Um, Fallout games. Uh, like I was huge into Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 when they first came out. Uh, just awesome, awesome. But yeah, so Fallout, Metal Gear's up there. I was really into the Assassin's Creed one until the one that took place during like the American Revolution. Not because it wasn't a good game, but just a big draw to that series to me was I get to like climb these massive buildings from the Renaissance or from medieval times. And there's none of that. Like running around the trees doesn't quite cut it for me. Yeah, if it's not working, just type any questions in the chat. I can see all the questions. Okay, so M Jedi Agnostics wants to see a new Last Starfighter movie. So I had a pitch, uh, not for a movie, but for a television series, and this was around when like Battlestar Galactica got its reboot. Um, and it was doing really, really well, right? So my thought would be a television series based on the last Starfighter, and you take, oh man, it's been so long, but you take the main character and his girlfriend. Like at the end, they go off and they're like they found a new Starfighter squadron or whatever, and everything's going great. And the first episode, this is like years and years after they have kids who are now starfighters or pilots or weapons officers or whatever. Um, and there's another surprise attack, and uh, the wife dies, the girlfriend slash wife dies, and now it is your main character, and he's like the commander. He's not a pilot anymore; he's a commander of the whole division. But now he's dealing with, the loss of his wife and worrying about his kids because his kids are going and fighting these battles. You could have a TV series based on that. I thought it would be really, really cool. I never actually pitched it to anyone, but I dreamt up that pitch in my head. And that's a series that I would watch. That's kind of what I'd want to see from Last Starfighter, because you want the same character, but you want to see him like 30, 40 years in the future where he's now in charge of it and so you get his aspect of it, and maybe his like kids are involved, and it'd be a very kind of Battlestar Galactica kind of feel. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure for Sega Genesis is great, but something was off. The gems were originally supposed to be burgers and fries. Much better ROM I found, but I don't know if it was a hack. I don't know. Collection, that is. What's my favorite game series collection? I mean, I've got collections of the Fallout games, and I would say Metal Gear because Fallout they were PC games back in the day. They weren't console games. Um, yeah, I do have a lot of games now. The one thing that you have to realize is was collecting 25, 30 years ago when all this stuff was dirt cheap. I got my Vectrex with a whole bunch of complete in box games for like $100. I got my Jaguar. I used to get I used to have like 4 or 5 Jaguars. I had like 3 Vectrex systems. I would get them cheap, and then I'd sell like I sold a complete in box Jaguar for $100, and at the time, I thought I was doing great. Never heard of Red Sea Crossing. Red Sea Crossing is one of the rarest video games of all time. I think there's something like 3 or 4 that are known to exist. How much for a box? I'm not sure I'm not sure there is a box. So Red Sea Crossing was a mail order from a Christian magazine. It was just some guy made a game, um, and you could, send a check for whatever, like 20 bucks probably at that time, and he would mail you a cartridge, and it was probably just doing it out of his basement. Um, it is an incredibly, we're talking probably the most expensive video game of all time. People talk about stadium events. That's nothing. You drop 20 grand on stadium events, good for you. You're going to drop a heck of a lot more for a copy of Red Sea Crossing. Like I said, there's only a couple, but it's based on Moses crossing the Red Sea, right? I have a ROM of it. It's been a long time since I played. Andy Author says his history focus was 1960s American history, the civil rights movement, political assassinations, and the same. This last one's out of left field based on all that other stuff. The Salem witchcraft trials. Yeah, it's. Should I make this joke? If Poe is here, he knows this joke. Sabrina the Teenage Witch has a cat named Salem. uh, and that's like Anne Frank having a cat named Auschwitz. Like, what are you doing? Sorry, that's a really bad joke. If I've offended people, I'm really sorry. But yeah, I've probably gone too far. Demonetized, cancel culture is gonna get me. I'm sorry. I have 2 Atari cartridges, a massive collection. Proportionate to the amount of space. Probably. Vanilla rules. Vanilla only rules because you can put it with a scoop of vanilla with a slice of pie. You can put any toppings on it. So there is that. 20 or so. I do though. I've got some extra games. I want to do a international trade with you so that I can get one of those cool Australian boxed games. I don't care what the game is, but they have these cool plastic boxes that we did not get over here. Here, they're all cardboard boxes. So I want one of those. I also want one of those Mattel version NES consoles. That's the coolest thing. If you go check, so Benji is from Australia, like I said before. And whenever he does an NES review, he shows putting the game in the cartridge and the cartridge in the system and closing the lid. But it says Nintendo Entertainment System Mattel version. And we didn't get those here. It's a PAL NES, but I want one. And now that I've told Casey's going to want one too, because in case you didn't know, Benji, Mattel, they made the Intellivision. And Casey's a big Intellivision guy. So I want a Mattel Nintendo. Offgrid says he did Times Square for New Year's one year. Never again. Will there be more Michelle and Corey videos? I think we need weekly booty bouncy sketches. There is, I have recorded part of the intro for the Princess Liddy Intellivision game, which is delayed right now due to my issue and being able to capture footage. But I did record a Michelle aspect to that. So I don't know if Corey will be in there, the butt pirate, but definitely Michelle will be in that intro. So you'll get Michelle once. And also, I was thinking maybe at some point this summer, because I want to go to Portland Retro Gaming Expo again. But finances are still very tight, and they will be tight for the foreseeable future. I am thinking of doing like a long marathon live stream, like maybe 8 hours on one Saturday, and doing it as Michelle and doing that as a fundraiser. I'd put like my PayPal there or something, um, to raise funds to go to Portland. So we'll see. It would be a shameless, asking for money, but I would be upfront that it's a shameless asking for money, and it's money so that I could go to Portland. Um, but I am considering that. I am strongly considering that. Yeah, 2001 was a great movie. 2010 was a good movie. It wasn't as good as 2001 for me. Um, yes, or Good Morning, Michael. I used to do a whole pile of replicas of movie props, and I did have a HAL 9000, and I had programmed it so that whenever I pressed a button on it, it said "Good morning, Michael." I called it my assistant manager. And you don't have any Atari cartridges? Oh man, got to get yourself at least a copy of Combat. People give that one away. Hey, Mr. Baseman finally got Spiders Arcade and Juno First. Great games. They are, especially Juno First. Juno First is one of my favorite. Uh, like even today, it's one of my favorite Atari 2600 homebrew games. It's awesome. Yeah. Yes. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. Fallout series is awesome. I agree. Oh, the TV series. I haven't watched it yet. The second season is out. I should watch it. I have Amazon Prime. I should watch it. Absolutely. Um, Coke or Pepsi? I am not a big cola guy to start with. But when I do have cola, maybe it is the Quebecer in me. My dad is half French, um, but I'm a Pepsi guy. I like the history. Again, I like the history and the legacy of Coke, but I prefer the taste of Pepsi. I find whenever I drink Coke, it feels like I've got this film on my teeth and everything. It's not that great. Uh, Casey, the Intellivision Gamer, has been member for 19 months. Thank you, sir. You're awesome. And his alter ego has been a member for. Okay, so Corey, the Intellivision Gamer, has been a member for 19 months, but Casey Nidal has been a member for 3 months, and I appreciate that very much. Um, what is the newest console that I have hooked up to a CRT? So I don't have like a dedicated retro gaming space. I have a big game room in my basement, and it's all hooked up to HD. But the newest console that I did have hooked up to a CRT was my Nintendo Wii. Um, yeah, yeah, that was before I got the Wii U. So it was the Nintendo Wii, but now I use them to like test systems. I've got two small ones. I don't usually use them for gaming, but I do use them to test systems. I was dumb and waited till about a few years. Oh, to collect. I wanted ColecoVision and television, but dear God, are they high? And that actually, you said ColecoVision. That reminds me, there was a question way back here. I started and then I never went back to it. Okay, there's two questions. What is my top resolution for 2026? My goal. So when I finish, I'm about to finish my third year on YouTube. I started January 6th, 2023. And after my first year, I had hit almost right on the anniversary, I hit 1,000 subscribers. And then, so my goal, my ambitious goal that year was to hit 5,000 subscribers. And I hit about, I think I was at like 4,400. I didn't hit 5,000 until uh, springtime this year. My goal for this year was to hit 10,000. We're falling far, far short of that. I'm not even at 6,000 yet. But my idea for how I was going to hit that goal was to produce not just my normal reviews, but a few documentaries that I'm working on that I think would have a much broader appeal than just homebrew. So my goal for 2026, channel wise, is to get some of those done and hopefully hit 10,000 subscribers. Wishful thinking, maybe, but aim high. And then Game Freak asked, and I apologize, I had completely forgotten about these. ColecoVision, Intellivision, and Atari 2600. One has to go forever. Which do you choose? This is an easy answer for me that's going to piss off some people, I have no doubt. One has to go away forever. ColecoVision. I have no nostalgic ties to Intellivision or ColecoVision. I didn't even know either of them existed when I was a little kid. I was an Atari 2600 guy, and then I went right to the NES in '89. I have very deep roots in the Intellivision homebrew community. I love the ColecoVision. I appreciate what the ColecoVision is, and I appreciate that it's got a thriving homebrew community, but I'm not as deeply involved in it. So if one has to go away, and I don't want any of them to go away, I do love my ColecoVision, especially now that I have my BD Retro Mods control stick, because I hate the ColecoVision controller. If one has to go away, it's going to be ColecoVision, and I apologize for that. Okay, so let's see if I scroll. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and so collecting now. If you're starting now, I feel for you. Go for ROMs. Go for ROMs and good emulation consoles like the Game Station Go and the Intellivision Sprint, if you can. Off-Grid Arcade's two games are Air Raid and Superman CIB. Superman CIB, maybe it's been a while since I've been collecting, but it wasn't that bad. Is complete in box Superman like super expensive? The Handheld Archive says, do you think Atari will ever buy the ColecoVision brand? If so, they will have the three biggest console brands pre-game crash. So if you're watching on the Retro Bliss Gaming channel, I didn't start simulcasting our Retro Bliss podcast, the Retro Bliss Rewind podcast, until we had been doing it for 4 or 5 months. But our very first episode, we had Poger on, and we talked about Atari and the future of Atari and all that stuff. And I proposed, this was before they bought Intellivision, this was before after they bought Atari Age. I proposed that they were in a good position, or maybe it was right when they bought Intellivision, a good position to be the guardian of second gen video games. If they wanted to, they could pick up the majority of the Odyssey 2 library by contacting Ed Averitt and buying the rights off of him. One guy. ColecoVision, the brand, maybe. The problem with ColecoVision, as opposed to when they bought Intellivision, is the vast majority of ColecoVision games were licensed. So you had the best version of Donkey Kong at that time. The best console version of Donkey Kong at that time. Licensed from Nintendo. So you buy the ColecoVision brand, you don't get Donkey Kong. You don't get a lot of these games. Ladybug, Zaxxon, like these were like Sega arcade games, or the amount of games that you would actually get with that acquisition aren't high. I think they might. What I'd really like to see is somebody with the rights to do so to release some kind of system that would play, you can play your 2600 and 7800 cartridges. You could play your ColecoVision cartridges and television cartridges. 5200, give us some kind of mashup. I'd like to see. I think Atari has done a pretty, despite their faults. I am not a rose-colored glasses kind of guy. Despite their faults, I think Atari has done a really good job with the majority of the properties that they own, and I think that picking up the ColecoVision brand would be a net positive for them. I'm not entirely sure what they would do with it. Maybe a ColecoVision Plus kind of console or another emulation box, but for ColecoVision. The problem is if it's an emulation box, what do you put on it? Because like I said, most of that library is licensed. Mr. Baseman's up to 102 Atari carts. That is very respectable. And yes, yeah, we got to talk. I want myself a Mattel Nintendo, and I want myself what else? An Atari game, like an Activision game with one of those cool plastic cases. Yes, yeah. In fairness to Off Grid Arcade, he just started getting cards. I can tell you who killed President Kennedy, but I don't want to post the name of the guy in case he's still alive because I don't want him after me because he's a really bad guy. You may not be able to see it, but the far newspaper right there, that's the New York Times. It's Kennedy is killed by sniper as he rides in car in Dallas. Johnson sworn in on plane. When I worked in news, I had 5 of these up in my office, and now there's only room for 3 of them here. So I've got Kennedy assassinated, I've got man lands on the moon, and this is the only reproduction one. This is the Titanic sinks. I also have a British newspaper reporting on Washington crossing the Delaware, and a American newspaper from Boston reporting on Wellington's victory at Waterloo. Old newspapers. I am glad you enjoy this. I'm actually having some fun. I was worried that there wouldn't be much to talk about and many questions. Okay. So is the Portland PRGE the best one to go to? I live in the Chicago area. Last year, technically last year, because it's still the 30th, I went to the Pinball Expo, and I was a guest at that one. That one is just outside of Chicago. That was a lot of fun, but it was primarily pinball. Portland Retro Gaming Expo, to all the ones that I've been, is the best, particularly for second gen gamers. If you like a lot of these events, they kind of like you'll see some in television, ColecoVision, Atari, maybe some Vectrex and Odyssey 2, but the majority of stuff starts at the NES. However, 2 years ago, I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic. That is up in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And so it's not a far drive from you. It is almost as good as PRGE. It is right up there. So for you to local, like it would be awesome if last time I drove, if I can get some kind of I'm a friend with a guy who lives in the area. If I could crash on his couch, I might get to Midwest Gaming Classic this year. It was an awesome event. It's the second best one I've been to, and it's not far off Portland. So if you're in the Chicago area, highly recommend looking into that. It's in the spring. Go see that one. Diet Pepsi. I'm diabetic. Diabetic, yes, you get the diet drinks. Cherry Coke Zero for him. A lot of the Cherry Coke Zero, a lot of the Zero stuff is actually pretty decent these days. What's the best CRT out there? Trying to find a cheap one on Facebook Marketplace. I am not a CRT expert. I know some of the late model flat CRTs from Sony are considered like holy grails. When 10 years ago, you couldn't give a CRT away. You used to go to like a Value Village or some kind of thrift shop, and they couldn't give them away. You know, $5 for a 24-inch CRT. Now you go to these gaming conventions and there's people who have CRTs there. They're asking $200-300 for them. Like what I was paying for a new television in 2000. That's what they're asking for. It's crazy. If you can find them, great, but yeah, it can be tough. Vanilla Coke, but chocolate ice cream. Fair enough, Tofu. Will Mitch's Gaming Galaxy, Old Poe, and Grandpa Bliss be making a video in 2026? This is Phil wanted to do one. So this all originates. Old Poe is a character from Mr. Poe Style, and it has his origin. So he originated it. He's been doing it for years, and it's like some of the best stuff on his channel. He did make a cameo in my Infiltrator intro, which was a lot of fun. And so Phil got the plugin from Snapchat that makes you look older as if he needs it. He's the originator of it. We should make cameos on his channel and drive some traffic to him, because Mr. Postal has an awesome channel. What do I think about the Evercade line of products? I don't have my Evercade here anymore. I must have moved it. I have, geez, I'm looking at it right now. Probably 30 of the cartridges. I love the idea of the Evercade. I never found myself using it as much as I liked. I think, especially if you're the type of person that wants to collect physical and have a wide variety of stuff that you can collect for not too expensive a price, the Evercade is awesome. The Evercade is awesome, and a great introduction. And it also satisfies that collector bug. Like you're paying $20-30 for a cartridge, and it has a collection of multiple games. So even if you don't like half the games, you're still getting some value for your money. I just don't use mine very often, unfortunately. I tried taking it on the plane with me a couple times. I played a couple games, but yeah, I've got two models of I've got the original model of the portable, and then like the regular edition, the white later model, and then I have the home console version. The home console one's the one that I play the most because it's got a great version of Warlords on it, and I play that with my kids. I have no doubt that I will hit 10K. I sincerely doubt it'll be this coming year, but I'm going to try. I have aspirations. ColecoVision has to go. Get the lube. Yeah, I know. It's and yes, Crypto Coffee, you are absolutely right. ColecoVision has better graphics between the three, some great games. I'd say better than the Intellivision, hands down. Yes. In terms of graphic capability, absolutely. However, Intellivision and Atari dominated that era, and ColecoVision didn't. If ColecoVision had been given a chance, like it came out like a year before the game crash, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, there was no game crash. I was playing games all throughout. It was a game crash for the companies. If it had been given time, I think it would have been like it would have completely taken over. It had a lot more power than its competition at the time. It just wrong time. Someone suggested on Atari Age that the Sprint have Intellivision 3 emulation as well. Can you talk about that some more? So what Intellivision 3 was, really, so after the video game crash, or around the time of the video game crash, Intellivision was considering making a new system. They had already released the Intellivision 2, which is the cheaper version of the Intellivision, but it's just an Intellivision, right? This guy. And Intellivision 3 was supposed to be a stopgap. It would just give you some boosted capability, a little boosted CPU, can do a little more with the sprites. A lot of what it was supposed to do, like it wouldn't have been necessarily game changing. It would just increase the capabilities. If you could get that into JZI and TV emulator, be totally doable, and it would allow homebrewers to do some cool stuff. The only problem is that then the only system that would be able to play anything with Intellivision 3 capability would be the Sprint. So if you were able to put something onto a cartridge or into a ROM that's like, if you detect these capabilities, use these advantages, and if you don't, don't. I don't see it being a big thing. You would need a piece of hardware out there. Like it would basically make it incompatible with older stuff. Much like you get right now with, like, if you buy a game from Opcode makes some of the best ColecoVision homebrews. But most of them require the Super Game module, which just boosts the power of the ColecoVision a little bit. It would be cool to see. I don't know how many people would program for it if it's only something that you can do on the Sprint and in like on computer with that, because you wouldn't be able to play it on an original television. But maybe would be great to see Atari buy ColecoVision. I totally agree. Yes, yeah. Ed Averitt owns well, not Odyssey, Odyssey 2. Ed Averitt programmed, I think, like 23, like 50% of the library. Yeah, voice to test. Fair enough. Yeah, so, and he's older, and I have been told that he may be looking to offload that, not just like throw it away, but like pass on, because that's his legacy. And you want to see your legacy taken care of. And if he can make it a deal with Atari, Atari's been pretty good at handling those legacies. What about not channel wise? Do I have any resolutions for myself? So when I split up from my ex-wife, I lost about 50 pounds, and I was pretty spiffy looking. I had, believe it or not, I had probably the best luck in my life, and I did pretty well when I was younger. When I was in college and high school, I didn't have a lot of troubles with the ladies, but I was not prepared for a decent looking middle-aged guy who was a good dad, had a good job, had his own home and a car, being so damn attractive to middle-aged women and some younger women too, not too young. And like I felt good about myself. In the last 4 years, I have gained like all of it back, and I do not like that. So a resolution for me personally is to get in better shape. I eat pretty good. I don't eat too much. I don't get as much exercise as I should, and I certainly don't get as much sleep as I should. So I am going to look at trying to get that better, because I would like to, like, I weigh 250 pounds now. I feel my best when I weigh about 200. So I would like to drop. That would be my personal resolution. But slow and steady, because then it stays. I have the At Games ColecoVision flashback. Yeah, those are fun, but they're very limited. I agree with licensing issues. I can't help but dream of a ColecoVision system like the Sprint. That would be awesome. They would have to make a better controller though, or just have like regular controller ports, because you know it's over there. I'm not gonna. It's got some stuff on it, but Retro Mods makes a really great arcade stick. OG Hugo, who made my, and that it's over there too. My Intellivision controller. He makes ColecoVision controllers too. There are lots of different things. So if you can plug, if you just put a DB9 connector on there, you're good to go. And then you can have your wireless. I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic in April, and it's huge and covers all generations of gaming. Yes, it does. It's awesome. Benji said, I forgot to mention too, great work on the YouTuber of the Year vid. Well, I didn't do much, but for those of you who don't know, I was host of YouTuber of the Month in 2024, and that passed to Upper Nimbus. Upper Nimbus hosted this year, and he just wrapped up. But I made a cameo in his YouTuber of the Year video, so go over to Upper Nimbus's channel and check that out. Unfortunately, like there was only 2 people that are running, and one of them has had to drop out because of some personal issues, which is a shame. He's the one that I voted for. But the other guy, is going to be the host, and I'll be watching him too. I think Upper Nimbus did a fantastic job, and he did me justice. He sent me the script. I just read his script and followed the camera directions that he asked for. He did everything else. So Corey, the Intellivision gamer, has everything Evercade, but doesn't use it often, and that's part of the problem too. Most of the gaming that I do now is for the channel, and I don't really cover Evercade on my channel. That might be part of it, but I do love what the Evercade is, and I think those who are looking for, a good variety of games, and something fun to collect, and Evercade's a great choice for you. Really, Atari is missing the Activision license. The PS2 Activision Anthology is a great 2600 collection. Excellent. Yeah, so a big problem, like every time Atari came out with a compilation, I would pick it up. And you're always disappointed because you want the Imagic games, you want the Activision games, you want, a lot of the great stuff didn't come from Atari proper. It was made for the 2600. So I had Activision Classics for the PS1. I played the crap out of that. So many great games. Be right back, Mrs. Collin. So yeah, I mean, the Activision stuff especially, a lot of these collections are missing that. But that's kind of why I like what they've done with the Sprint, is that, what they do have the rights for, and some of it's missing too, but it's all there, and then you could plug in a USB key in and have everything else that they don't have the rights for, but you can play it, and I love that. With the current controversy about owning versus renting a game, do you think that will drive even more people to retro? So I am very much, I have always been against digital ownership. If you own, like what homebrewers are doing right now with like their Intellivision ROM packages for the Sprint, I own that. I download it. I have a file, and like any other file, I can, if I really care about it, I make sure it's on several different hard drives, in several different places. So if a hard drive crashes, I don't lose it. But I own that file. Whereas like Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, they decide to shut down their service, I can lose my stuff. Online only games, I am at the whim of how long they want to support it. I think, I don't know if it'll drive more people to retro. Like if you really like games on your PlayStation, the Atari 2600 probably isn't going to cut it for you. You go from Assassin's Creed to Pitfall, it's probably not that thrilling for you. But I hope things like the Sprint, things that make gaming more accessible, things like the Game Station Go, um, really any of this stuff. I hope that it gets more people playing this, not necessarily to be their primary gaming. Like it's my primary gaming, but just to appreciate where we came from and the history of how games evolved and how the different ideas evolved. And it went from, here's your arcade games, and we're transferring to games that are really built to be played in the home. Um, and then, these games get bigger, and the idea of now we're storytelling. Um, just there's a whole evolution of gaming that is absolutely fascinating. And I do hope that more people, it like I said, it doesn't have to be your primary gaming. You don't even have to like it, but just to appreciate it. 10,000 subs. More Michelle, less Mike. It really disturbs me, Casey, that there's joking that Michelle should have her own OnlyFans and stuff. And I'm starting to think like that would actually be profitable, and that is disgusting to me. Yeah, ColecoVision was really catching it. When ColecoVision came on the scene, it had like it was known for the arcade ports. So when it came out, it was a force of nature for sure. It's just came out at the wrong time. Gotta love the Intellivision. Yeah, it doesn't get easier to lose weight. And I always tell my kids, my kids are both like, especially my older son, he is a stick. He is super thin. He's 6'5". And I've always told my kids it is easier to not gain weight than to gain weight and then try to lose it. So try not to get to that issue in the first place. I am pretty healthy for a 250-pound guy. But I could be a lot better. What is my favorite compilation game? I assume that's supposed to be compilation. What do you mean by compilation game? Like just a cartridge that has multiple different games on it? Um, I'm not sure. My favorite compilation. I mean, probably the one that I had the most fun with. Well, actually, no. Okay, I can actually pick one. It's gonna be Wii Play. So Wii Sports came out, and that like everybody loved Wii Sports when it first came out, and so did I. Particularly the tennis. I really liked Wii Tennis. But then Wii Play came out, and I think, it had like a light gun game, like a shooting game. It had a racing game where you were like this cow and you could jump. But the game that I loved on it had this little tank shooting game, and it was a really cool aesthetic. It was like little toy tanks, and you would drive with the thumbstick on the nunchuck and then aim and fire your cannon, your little toy cannon with the actual Wiimote. I adored that game. I absolutely love that game. I wish they had expanded it and made it its own thing. So that would be my favorite compilation. Um, Mysticles, how are you doing? And happy pre-New Year's Eve. Yes. Um, so I have nothing coming out New Year's Eve, but on Thursday, which I believe is the first. Yep, Thursday's the first, is my intro compilation video. So that'll be the compilation of all the intros that I did in 2025, all the special ones. And yes, Michelle, that mermaid intro is in there. Blast back in the day playing Artillery Duel on the ColecoVision. There's a lot of great stuff on the ColecoVision. It's just a lot of it's licensed. So I'm not sure how much value aside from the brand name the ColecoVision thing was. So the one thing, and if you liked when I did it, which I appreciate, thank you. Upper Nimbus did a great job, and he did a whole storyline. Like if you go back to his videos and just even watch the intros, and quite often he'd do a little tag too. But he did a whole story arc, and I am part of the culmination of that story arc in the YouTuber of the year video. So go check out that. Should we want a 3DO Mini? I am all for mini consoles that allow you to add games. Like, I would consider the Sprint to be in that vein, the 400 Mini to be in that vein. If it is like a flashback where it just has a locked, here's your 30, 40 games, no, I don't have a need for that. I've picked up a few in my day, but I like ones like that allow you to use like a real controller, and now you can load all your ROMs on it and you can play it because it gives you the authentic experience without the prohibitive cost of having to buy all the physical games. And then if you really like it, you go and buy the physical games anyway to collect and play on a real system. But I do like these sampler consoles, but I think in 2025 and 2026 we need more of these ones where you can plug your own games in. Yes, yeah, me too. I do most of my playing for YouTube. Yeah, Atari 50 is great, but still no Activision. I really like what they did for the Atari 50. It would be really cool if they did something like that for the Intellivision 50. I don't know if they will, but it was really cool. And yeah, if you look back on either my channel or Phil's channel, you'll see we did an interview with David Crane and Gary and Dan Kitchen. They do Audacity games, and that is, for all intents and purposes, a continuation of your classic Activision. It's very cool. Did you see Atari licensed a ROM game? I think it was Montezuma's Revenge for the Sprint. It looks like Atari Sprint sticks may have some homebrews. So I don't think they licensed Montezuma's Revenge. You can buy that ROM from Intellivision Collector. However, they did license 4 homebrews from another homebrewer, and they probably have licensed ones from others. If you watch my very first video covering the Intellivision Sprint, I let it spill what those 4 games are, and they hadn't announced them yet. But I had gotten kind of a pre-scoop, and I thought they were all being announced at the same time, so I let it spill. So if you want to know what those 4 games are, you can go back and watch that video. But one that you can tell, like, I had somebody in one of my videos comment and complain, oh, it's a real big shame that you can't get TNT Cowboy anymore from Electronite. Well, there's a reason for that. It's been licensed, and the Atari Sprint sticks, once they start coming out of them, that's going to be one of the games. Whether it's on a compilation or by itself, I don't know. But that is one of the games that they've licensed. And they've licensed some others too. And if you want to find out what all of them are, you can go back and watch that video. But if they've licensed Montezuma's Revenge, great. That one I haven't heard. But there are at least 4 game homebrews that they have licensed and will be releasing as Sprint sticks. Or maybe all on one. I don't know. I have the 2600 plus and the 78 plus. No dang way to hook to a CRT. No AV output. Yeah, they're meant for people who want to do that on a modern TV. If you want to hook up to an old CRT, just get the old systems. They work great still. Sorry, Mike. Have a lot going on here the last 2 days. We'll see you later, brother. No worries, man. We're probably going to be winding up. We've been going. I thought there wouldn't be enough to cover an hour, but there's been more than enough. Digital and subscription gaming is what's going to be the norm. PC gaming is more attractive these days, and I think a better option. Steam Deck is a good product towards that. So the one thing that gives Steam a lot of credence is that they don't, like, if you had a game that you bought from Steam ages ago, you can still get it. Digital and subscription gaming has become the norm. It already has. I don't like it because it is a rental as opposed to ownership. And you play it as long as they allow you to play it. So when it comes to digital distribution, if you give me all the files, and there was like the no games lost petition or whatever, uh, where they just have to, if you're going to be shutting down the servers, you have to send out that last update that makes it so the single player campaign can still play, or something like that. It's and yeah, we're going digital, like it or not, but I think there should be a framework around digital. Uh, Either it's ownership, and then you have to make it so that I can still play my game when you decide to shut shop, or it's not ownership and you should not be charging me as if it were ownership. Who would win in a race, Rainbow Dash or Daffy Duck? Uh, is Rainbow Dash like one of the My Little Pony things? I've never watched an episode of My Little Pony, either the original or whatever. So I'm going to go with Daffy Duck. If Rainbow Dash is from something else that I should know, I apologize, but I'm going to go with Daffy Duck because I've always liked Daffy Duck. Mystically says, I play some modern, of course, but always find myself playing retro more. I like retro because the amount of time I have to play games, retro is perfect. Like if I'm only able to play for half an hour, I can play half an hour of something from Champ Games or something from the original libraries, and get a fully enjoyable experience. In most modern games, you get through the tutorial and then it's time to shut off the console. Benji said, I just made a video on the compilations and collections in my collection. Funny timing. I will have to check that out. I have been kind of away from watching YouTube the last couple weeks due to the holidays. I have a lot of catching up to do. Any topic ideas you can share for 2026? I think you guys mentioned the Atari 8-bit top games. So yeah, that's definitely one that we have to do soon. We also want to have John Champeau back on again to talk about the Champ Games Presents line. Other topics, we've got a variety of things. I want to have Caleb Garner on 8-bit widgets to talk about Intellivision add-ons that he's done, such as, again, I actually tidied. Normally I can grab stuff and just show, but like there's all this space beside me now. But talk about like the IntiNES and the IntelliPort. These are things that he's talked about on Casey's show, but one of the great things about our show is we get a wider variety of people. I have Atari people in the chat, I have NES people in the chat. It's cool to kind of spread that word out, even if it's been done before. Those are some of the podcast ideas. I've got some video ideas. I've been kind of teasing it for a while. I've got pages upon pages of notes for one of the documentaries I'm going to do, that I've been working on, but it's just finding the time. And then things like what happened last night and today, where it's like I just want to get ahead on recording some damn footage and it's not letting me, and it's very frustrating. But yeah, so those are the couple things that you can look forward to. We've also got a couple, a lot of other consoles we could do retrospectives on. Who would win in a fight, Minecraft Steve or Macho Man Randy Savage? Well, Macho Man Randy Savage doesn't have diamond armor, and Steve gets some diamond armor. So I'm gonna go with Minecraft Steve on that one. Cafe Man 2D says, I picked up a Whopper on the way home. Do you like Whoppers? I do. There is something different about Burger King in the US and Burger King in Canada. I don't know what it is. Burger King in the US tastes like absolute garbage. It tastes so bad. And it was funny because like Burger King's never been a top burger chain in my view, right? Like, you got McDonald's and that's, it's all trash, but you got McDonald's, you got Wendy's. and they're decent burgers for what they are. And then you've got Burger King. And I have always liked Burger King. Like, it's been totally fine. And then I remember we were driving to Ohio to go to Pastimes Arcade, and we stopped. Michael Thomason and I, and we stopped. And he's like, "Oh, there's only a Burger King here. Do you mind eating Burger King?" I was like, "Sure." He's like, "Well, Burger King's really bad here." And I was like, "Really? Burger King's fine." And then I took a bite in the burger, and he's like, "See?" So I don't know what in the States you guys do with Burger King, but I like Burger King up here. My last couple of experiences with Burger King in the US, I did not like it. Uh, Jeremiah Thomas in the question section says, get rich scheme, piracy or daycare center?" I'm going to say piracy. My ex-wife ran a daycare from our home, like a home daycare, and barely made enough money. Like, what you hear about, daycare people getting rich, at least from what I've experienced, is not true. Unless you are like completely scamming and not doing things right. So I'm going to go with piracy. I'll be a pirate. I have a pirate. One of my ancestors was a pirate. Sir Robert Holmes, you can look him up. He started the Second Anglo-Dutch War by taking his ship into a Dutch port and like setting ablaze 200 merchant ships. Yeah, so that's what I'm descended from. Are there any party games for the Sprint apart from horse racing? For the Sprint specifically, I don't know. If you can get 4 controllers working on the Sprint, which I haven't tried yet, but if you could get 4 controllers working, Fubar, which is a homebrew from Michael Hayes, is a wonderful 4-player game. It's awesome. Uh, kind of think of it like, oh, what's the name of that? I want to say Squid Game. It's not the Nintendo one where you're painting the area and oh man, that's driving me nuts. Somebody else say it. Um and yeah, so it Fubar is really good game. Fubar is really good. Snafu is a really fun game. Um yeah, those are probably maybe bowling. I don't know. It depends on what you consider a party game. Console versus system, what is the difference? At least the way I use those words, nothing. Um yeah, they're the same thing for how I use them. Yes, please smash that like. We're almost at 2 hours. Holy moly. How far am I? Oh wow, I'm like 12 minutes behind the chat. I would like to see a ColecoVision like the Sprint with side loading option. I would love that. And give me controller ports so that I can use my BD Retro Mards arcade stick. Yeah, the Phoenix. I was going through a divorce when the Phoenix came out. I had no money to buy a Phoenix and I regret it. I should have delayed my divorce so I could buy a Phoenix. um Yeah, yeah, me talking about the games, I know. But I figure I can kind of say it because I like when they announced it, my video went up like minutes after. Um yeah, 2600 plus is HDMI only. That is correct. Is there any Atari hardware homebrews that you'd like to see in Intelli? So, are there any Atari homebrew games that I'd like to see ported to Intellivision? You want to hear the real answer? No, not really. I am sick and tired. Everybody thinks I hate ports. I don't hate ports. What I hate is lazy ports. Everybody here, here. Everybody was going nuts for this when it came out. It's a good port. It's a good port of Phoenix. And the way people are talking about it, they were like, "Oh, game of the year material." No, it isn't. It's a straight port. There's nothing added. if you've played Phoenix and you like Phoenix, you will like this game. Now, it's great that people can have their high score competitions and stuff like that, and I fully endorse that. But if you are going to port something, do what Champ Games does. Add game modes, add game mechanics, do something with it to make it worth buying the same game again and again and again and again. And the vast majority of Intellivision ports are straight ports. And quite frankly, at this stage in 2026, we're about to be, it's lazy. And people soak it up. And it really frustrates me. I think it kills the creativity of the homebrew scene. And I don't mean to pick on Phoenix specifically. But you know, if you like ports, buy ports. But if I can already play the game on the 2600 and nothing about porting it to the Intellivision is going to add anything, I don't need it. I will get it on the 2600 and play it on the 2600. And that is my opinion on that. Give me some originality. Do something with it to make it different, to make it worth buying again. Because at a certain point, you know, when I've reviewed plenty of ports and I've given them positive reviews, and including Intellivision ports. But how many times in the tag can I say, if you like this game that you've played 1,000 times, you'll like this version too, because it's the same damn game. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for me as a person who reviews games, and that is why, like, I will of course at some point review Phoenix, Mr. Do, you know, all these other games. But they're not going to be a priority to me, because what can I tell you that hasn't been said a million times before for other versions of it too? Yes, it was Electronite. Not posted, sorry, just in the can. Oh, okay, so that compilation. I look forward to watching it, sir. What's Benji's channel? Another Australian here. He is at Benji's Retrospective. Benji's Retrospective. Highly recommended. I think he is quite undersubscribed. You should go over to his channel and subscribe. Can I beat Cyrus at Gyrus? My best Gyrus score is over 1 million points. So probably on the NES. I'm really good at it on the NES. I make no promises for other versions. Burger King's gone downhill for years now. Okay, this is fun. You want to hear the funniest thing? This was probably like a week ago. My daughter was asking questions like this, and I was like, "Do you want the real answers, or do you want like just dad answers?" She was like, "I want the real answers." And so the real answer is the sky isn't blue. The sky is composed of different gases that, when the light refracts from it and reflects, it's read by our eyes as blue. So from a human perspective, at least the normal human perspective, the sky is blue, but the sky isn't actually blue. Other creatures see the sky as different colors. It is how our retinas read read the color of the atmosphere and the refraction of the light off of it. Oh, there you go. He's got you. I forget what I said. That I'll not even go there now. But oh, sorry, you're talking about Burger King. Okay. Timmy. Somebody from Australia told me the same thing about McDonald's. Not cool, man. You mean Macca's? My former brother-in-law was Australian, so I know some of the slang. It's called Hungry Jacks here. Awesome. Pirate Lady? Priet Lady? I don't know what I was talking about, but no, I got no pirate ladies in my on my channel coming. Okay. Australia has both Burger King and Hungry Jack's. You can Google the reason why. Very funny story. It was a joke about the fraud in Minneapolis. Come on, Minneapolis is practically Canada. Okay, I wasn't aware about the daycare fraud in Minneapolis. Minneapolis is not practically Canada. I am convinced. Okay, here's another thing. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, Canadians say a boot," and they talk like this. I have lived in Canada my entire life. That is, you know, we're going on 45 years now. Never in my life have I heard anybody say a boot. Not even anybody from the Maritimes, and they got a hell of an accent. Um, I am convinced that Americans all watched Fargo, heard that North Dakota accent, and just assumed, well, that's North. It might as well be Canada. That's what Canadians sound like. Uh, yeah, I would really like, so not yet, but maybe 4 controllers on the Sprint. I would really love if they made it so that you could connect 4 controllers to the Sprint, because then Fubar. Splatoon, that's it. I always forget Splatoon. But 4 controllers on the Sprint. Splatoon 2 and 3, yeah. Okay. Number 1 show of all time. Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones? Probably neither, but both are definitely worth being in the conversation. I loved both of them. But if we're going to talk about one of them was consistent right through and knew when to stop. And it wasn't Game of Thrones. Breaking Bad is absolutely one of the greatest shows of all time. If Dexter ended on season 1, it'd be right there too. Game of Thrones, I wasn't even upset about, you know, a lot of people were upset about Daenerys turning bad. I knew from season 1 that was the end goal. It was so obvious. But it was like there were hints of her going that way throughout the entire series, if you watch. But then they made the turn like second last episode. What are you doing? There needed to be like another 2 seasons and show an actual proper decline. So I think the way that Game of Thrones wrapped up, instead of planning properly to have like an arc that made sense, takes away from it a bit. So Breaking Bad, if those are my 2 options. Controller versus remote. What is the difference? One is proper, one is not. If you are controlling a video game, it is a controller. I blame Nintendo for this because the controller for the Wii was called the Wiimote. And everybody just started calling them remotes. But this is a controller. It is not a remote. This is a remote. It is not a controller. That is. You can love Phoenix, but it is a straight port. There's nothing special about Phoenix. If it wins Game of the Year in the Intellivision Homebrew Awards, stay tuned. I'm going to throw a shit fit. Hey, Benvril, we're trying to wrap up here. We're almost at 10 o'clock. Exactly. Like, if you're going to do it, like, I don't have a problem with you doing it. Just add something to it. A lot of these ports, because I know who do them, and they're talented programmers. They're absolutely talented programmers. If Phoenix was like a beginner project, I'd be like, that's fantastic, man. You created something. But these are like programmers who know what they're doing. And I know that they churn these out in like a week, maybe 2 weeks worth of work. And it screams to me as somebody just wanting a paycheck instead of producing something new and innovative. And not everything has to be new and innovative, but the fanfare that a straight port gets in the Intellivision community specifically, I think is kind of silly. What games do I want to review for 2026? A big one for me. Let's see if I can get it out of this case here. I picked this up at Portland. I think it's going to be awesome. Dream Shark. I might be recording this one tonight. I will probably end up doing a Panzer month. The Adventures of Panzer 1, 2, and 3. Great homebrew games that I want to review. And what else? I've got some good Vectrex ones. I really want to do the Sorrow of Galanthur. That's one that I need some time to finish. Lots ones. There's a lot of great ones, and I'm looking forward to like Anthropomorphic Force 2. So a few months ago, William sent me a message asking, do you have any ideas for an AF2? And I gave him like a full, like what I would be looking for in the game would be all of this. That included story, that included gameplay elements, that included a lot of different stuff. It will be interesting to see if he took any of that. I know people are starting to talk about it now. So I hope that gets released in 2026, and that it is even close to the game that I wanted, because I told him a whole bunch of stuff. My last comment, you had Activision on PS1. The PS2 compilation is a must-have. 80s rock in the background playing Hero. Gotta have it. I might have it for PS2. Can I beat the Intellivision Gamer at Intellivision Baseball? Probably not. Almost guaranteed not. But I can beat him in Ladybug. I can beat him probably in a lot of games. Not baseball. Not baseball. Do I like RWBY or red versus blue? I don't know what that question is. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. If you could clarify, I'll do that. What is my top 5 gaming consoles? Oh boy. In no particular order. I'm a big fan of the Xbox 360, despite its red ring problems. It has an awesome library. I'm a big fan of the Nintendo Switch. That is still what I do most of my gaming with my kids. The NES was a really big one for me. And I got 2 more. I could say the 2600 was my first love. Yeesh. I should put a Sony one in there, or should I put a Sega one in there? My favorite homebrew community is the Intellivision, but I wouldn't say that Intellivision is a top 5 gaming console for me, if you're considering everything. I think for my last one, I gotta go PS2. PS2's got a fantastic library. Do I like to play Sonic games? I do like Sonic games. I stopped playing them after the Genesis, so I don't really know what they're like now, but I do like Sonic games. Yep. That's your North Dakota dudes. I'm sure I heard it on like so. Okay, I've been watching back Letterkenny, and it's funny because they actually an episode that I watched recently. I think it's like season 6, where they actually talk about it, and they're like, "Have you ever heard anybody say a boot?" No, I haven't heard it. They were talking about, but there was a whole thing where an American comes up, and he is like a Jehovah's Witness, and he keeps saying a boat. Like a boat, like on the water, and they make fun of him for that because like the opening of the scene is Wayne sitting there. He's like, Dan, say about. Okay, good. Katie, say about. Okay, good. I love Letterkenny. Give your balls a tug. What do I think the Trailer Park Boys? They're national heroes. I love the Trailer Park Boys. My wife not not the biggest fan of, because probably because I keep doing my Brubbles impression. Oh, you see a Sam Squamch and the helicocksucker coming after you. Yeah, I love the Trailer Park Boys. Dexter didn't get bad until season 5. It dipped in 4, but it was still good. I found season 3 really tough to get through. Season 4 was decent. Seasons 1 and 2, but season 1 was like peak. If we're talking like some of the greatest television ever, season 1 was right up there. Hey, what's up, Night X, Wolf X, Super Nintendo, N64, all good systems. 2600, 7800, Jaguar, Genesis, and SNES. Nice eclectic mix. Yeah, I like to mix it up. I like gaming of all eras. My channel is primarily second gen, but I like all eras. Yeah, I'm not going to do another hour. I do have a lot of Vectrex games to record tonight. Although with my luck, my Vectrex won't work. Knock on wood. Currently rewatching now, so good. Yeah, I'm watching. My wife and I are watching Letterkenny, and then moving on to Shoresy soon. I really like Shoresy. But Trailer Park Boys, yeah, they're national. I've seen everything, including all the movies, which aren't as good, but yeah, good times with that. And great show, which is perfect because we have now gone 2 hours, and I'm going to have to pick up my well, actually, my son is driving back from the rink. Him and his buddies rented the rink to play some hockey tonight, and they'll be coming back, and I got to drive him back to his mom's because he took my car. But this was super fun. I was really unsure if there would be enough to talk about to last an hour, and we've gone 2 and could probably go longer. I have no problem on staying up late. I'll be up till probably 6, 7 in the morning again, but I don't work until next week. But I do have to try to get myself back into a rhythm so that I can wake up in time to work next week. And Happy New Year. Great stream. Yes, thank you very much, guys, for joining me. Reminder, on Thursday morning is my intro compilation. All the great intros that I did and the bad ones that I did in 2025. The next time I'll see you is this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll be streaming something cool. Probably Intellivision game. I picked up a bunch of Intellivision games from Intellivision Revolution, and I can emulate those. So I will be streaming this Saturday at 2 p.m. And then the week after, we're back to normal. We've got reviews and all that fun stuff. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And we will see you next time on Mike's Gaming Gala. Bye, everybody.